birthday.
Woo!
Welcome back. Welcome
Pat.
back. Welcome back. Happy birthday to you, Pat. Happy birthday to you, Pat. Happy birthday to Patty. Happy birthday to you. It's Pat's birthday last week. Happy birthday. Hope you had a good one. Looking young these days, looking beautiful. Glad to have you. So it is May 27th. I don't know how many times we've seen each other, but we've seen each other a lot more than we saw each other last year. So that's very nice.
Yep.
Virtually, not as good as in person, but still good nonetheless. So you are 35 years old right now. We'll get right into one of the things I wanted to hear about or talk about this week, which is 35 to be president. Is that a good requirement, do you think? Should there be other requirements for other members of Congress or government, mayors, congressmen, councilmen, statesmen, whatever, senators, governors, all of those? Should there be age restrictions? And then should there be term limits? Should the term limits be the same as they are? Should they change? What do you think about that aspect of government?
So, the age requirements for when you ran were created during a different era, back when our life expectancy was radically different.
Mm-hmm. Were they made in like 1700s or was that later?
Yeah. The age requirements on when you could run were written into the Constitution. So for president, it was in Article 1 handles the executive branch, Article 2 handles Congress, and Article 3 handles the Supreme Court. There's been federal legislation that has been passed that kind of goes into some of the non-constitutional aspects of running for these offices or being appointed to these offices, but essentially the Constitution handles the ins and outs and the basic requirements for those three branches. I think 35 now is it's awful young to run for federal office. Whether it's a U.S. Senate, Congress person, a president, just because of the scope, right? Like when it was created, these jobs, especially congressmen, like you did this part-time. It was not a full-time job, and it is now absolutely a career for a lot of folks.
Yeah, you have to want it, or you either have to be rich or you have to be knowing you want to do it from when you go to college, or before college even.
Yeah, and of course now that's even shifting. The new trend is if you've been on TV or you're popular on the internet or you're in entertainment or whatever. We're starting to see that shift. Of course,
very true.
I think people can make the argument that we kind of broke that since like Reagan or whatever. So it's not exactly a new phenomenon. But I think the age requirement, I'm less concerned about age because personally I feel like we need younger people representing us, seeing as how young people make up a significant part of the population, and it's important for elected officials to actually reflect the communities and constituents that they represent. The problem, so with term limits, a lot of people argue in political theory that elections act as term limits. So they make the argument that we don't necessarily need to put in like artificial constraints on how long you can serve because if in theory, if a person is not representing their constituents well enough, elections will take care of that.
The problem is no one votes.
And that's what I was about to say. And the same reason that I don't necessarily believe that markets and economics take care of bad behavior, a bad product or whatever on their own. Likewise, I don't believe that elections naturally take care of bad behavior.
I think markets do because I think people care, unfortunately, about their money a lot and make decisions with their money. I guess what I would agree with you is sometimes they're not informed and they don't know what they're doing with their money. but I think people like spend with their money and affect markets, and they even out. But I feel like elections definitely people just Philly last week or whenever it was. I don't think too many people voted at all.
The same with I'm sticking to my
Yeah.
guns.
No,
Markets,
we could disagree.
Markets or elections. If people are irrational.
Yeah.
They're illogical. There has been plenty of work done by economists, psychologists that decision-making behavior in humans is incredibly flawed, that the way we view the decisions we make and ourselves is incredibly flawed, to the point where we are delusional, that we are rational actors who look out for their self-interest. In politics, because the markets are a whole nother conversation, in politics, there's been plenty of articles and analysis and data that backs up this view. And every political science major, if anybody's watching this that has been in a political science department, has to read 2 articles when they go through a poli-sci major. What's the matter with Kansas and what's the matter with Connecticut? Both of them essentially posit the same thing, that a lot of the electorate votes against their own self-interest. And there's a lot of different rationales on why that is. The point to this, though, is it speaks to your question, that I think that there should be, whether term limits are the answer or not, I honestly don't know, but there should be more mechanisms in place in order for us to hold politicians accountable for their poor behavior and when they are not living up to expectations. The system, whether it is gerrymandering, and that's the drawing of lines in order to keep certain people in power and to keep others from challenging those who are currently in office, is a big mechanism that is used by people who are already elected in order to maintain their hold on power. Voter suppression laws, both the voter ID laws that were struck down all over the country back in the late 2000s and early, whatever we call these, teens or whatever, the aughts and the teens. And now the new version of voter ID voter suppression laws, which go at vote by mail, drop boxes, even just handing water to people that are in line, are all about the same thing. And that is keeping bad actors in power and denying the vote to whole communities that will just naturally be affected by these laws. And a lot of other things, whether it's a campaign finance law, whether it's the way that stakeholders, these are the people that donate to campaigns and finance campaigns.
Let's get back on track.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I was getting lost too. You got a lot of good stuff. What was the original question?
The original question was what you were getting at was, do we need term limits? And
yeah, do we need term limits?
That gets to the issue of these people that we see in there year after year.
Do we need term limits?
I think that we need to change other things. That term limits is a reactive solution to a problem that there are more comprehensive ways that we can keep good representation in there.
I'll take it. I've heard someone promote before that the president should be 1 term, 6 years, and their reason behind it, I kind of liked it, was the first 4 years, historically, Trump didn't follow any rules that most did, but the first 4 years, most presidents take it easy because they want to get reelected again. And then the second 4 years, they'd start doing more of what they really want. Where this person said, I'd rather 6 years. You have enough time to really make a change. You're not going to hold back too much because you're concerned about another election. You got your 6 years, you're in and you're kind of out. And I liked that a little bit. I don't know if that's best. I think president's its own little thing. I do not like that there's people who are in office for 20, 30, 40 years. I think that's absolutely absurd. I don't think there should be an age restriction per se, but I also don't think 30-year-olds are equipped to run office for the most part. I think there's probably some, but I think like you need more experience. You just like I don't know. I think that's a tough one. I think there's some who are equipped, but I don't think overall most 30-year-olds would be or 25-year-olds would be a good fit for office. Those are my things. Would it any backs on those or
no? The age thing, I don't really have too much of an argument about the age thing as far as kind of the way we understand the way young people mature these days and you know, stuff like that. I think that for some of, especially like the age requirements when you're talking about your 20s, you know, maybe that's something we can kind of talk about. Again, it's like, it's tough because some individuals I meet that are in their 20s are like way mature than even I am at 35, you know?
right?
And so I don't want to like exclude folks. As far as with the president's thing in one term, here's the problem. The president doesn't operate within a vacuum based all in his own term, right? Actually, the biggest determination of what a president does in his first term is dictated by congressional, senatorial, and local elections that happen halfway through his first term. So, you know, it's called the midterms, and it happens 2 years into every president's first term. And so his real limitation on what he does, what he decides to do and everything happens within his first 100 days. I don't know if you ever heard of the rule of what the first 100 days, but that is the time that a president has to do something because people feel Congress, because the president can't do anything really alone, you know, executive actions, whatever. I'm not going to get into that, but he has to work with these people who in that first 100, they feel comfortable. They feel like there's a mandate from the people based off the previous election. And for the most part, with a lot of exceptions, he can do stuff pretty above board. After that, they're campaigning for re-election, and everything just gets much harder.
Right.
And the safe play is to not do anything controversial that people are going to remember. So again, that ties into like I think Congress as the one that actually passed laws is the most broken of the three branches. So I'd really love to look into the eccentricities that some stuff is out of date, other stuff has changed over time that really wasn't the intention of the founding fathers. You know, that there's a lot of stuff, you know, whether you're talking about the filibuster, terms for Congress, you know, and the Senate. For instance, a state rep in Pennsylvania runs every 2 years, Jer.
Yeah.
Every 2 years. How is a person supposed to focus on their job
when they're running?
They are literally running all the time. All the time. They are always having to worry about fundraising. They're always having to worry about what issues they're going to get. You know, there's no real time to focus on them doing their actual jobs. So if your biggest complaint is you elect somebody and then they go to DC or they go to Harrisburg or they go wherever your capital is, and you don't feel like they're more focused on the politics than they are on the policy.
That's because of the election every 2 years.
That's a structural problem. That's not necessarily a them problem. For some of them, it's a them problem, but mostly it's the institution forces them to behave a certain way.
You right.
So, you know.
All right. Well, I don't have any more thoughts on it. You kind of stumped me. but
and that's another thing. A lot of this stuff that we're talking about, like the media and kind of in popular culture, we love to boil it down. We love to get real reductionist with it. You know, we get real simplistic. It should be one term. There should be term limit. The answer is never that simple. It just isn't.
Oh, no, for sure.
A lot of it is inside baseball that no one's even fucking considered.
Yep. You know? No, I for sure. Which is another thing. Maybe there should be some more transparency with it all. And hallelujah,
Dare.
That would be great.
Political and civic education.
Yeah. Well, actually, too, what I like to relate to something that I enjoy a lot is blockchain. I think blockchain should enter politics because that would really make everything transparent. You'd be able to track every vote, every dollar, every campaign dollar. You'd know where it went, why it went there. I think that would help a lot. So hopefully that day comes.
But I want to take that theory of yours. It just needs to be more visible because all that stuff, except for dark money, and so we can stay away from that, and Citizens United and super PACs and all that. But on the whole, what you just said about where dollars are going, what's going on, like that stuff is, the thing is, it's buried real deep in very obscure websites and databases that unless you're in my business, regular people don't know about.
True that.
So let's drag that more, into the forefront. But again, if you haven't been educated in politics or civics, you got access to that information. Everybody does in theory. You don't necessarily know what you're looking at.
You're right.
And it's like you got the data, but it's like, what does that data tell me?
I'm going to start sharing some of that data then, exposing. Maybe we'll have a segment of this show to expose data.
Okay.
For all of our thousands of listeners.
And then maybe I can help some of our viewers be like, all right, we're looking at the data. We got it in front of us. Let's talk about how to engage with that data. What is this saying? Because raw information is just the beginning, right?
I'm with it. All right. Well,
I'm getting my nerd on here, Jer. We're digging real deep into this stuff. Man.
We're going to have to talk about this again because, I feel like you could go for a long time about it.
We'll talk boats. Let's talk boats and money, baby. Let's talk boats and money.
Well, I got to walk my dogs and eat some dinner.
Me too.
I'll keep recording those so you can keep on talking and all.
All right, I'm gonna just keep talking.
But no, thank you to anyone who's listening. Let us know what you think. Let us know, comment, subscribe, whatever. Let us know if you want to be on the show. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, have a good one. Peace.